The driver of this car is a man in a hurry. He's John Doe, average citizen. John has a lot of miles to cover today, a lot of people to see, a lot of things to do. Yes, John is a busy man. No time to waste. Too busy, in fact, to live. Rest in peace. Ironic final tribute to a man in a hurry. A man who thought he couldn't spare 3 minutes out of his busy day to stay alive. This is how it was. This was John just 48 hours ago. Normal, healthy, typical. Like all of us, anxious to get going.
Oh, look, never mind that. I was just going to clean your windshield, sir. Well, no, that's okay. Never mind. How much for the gas?
Only take a minute.
No, thanks anyway. I'm in kind of a hurry. Wouldn't you like me to check your tires, sir? No, I want to get going. How much for the gas? But that'll be $3 even. Thank you, sir. Come in again, won't you? Sure, I'll be back.
But he won't be back now or ever because he couldn't spare 3 minutes. Suppose we could turn time back. Suppose John Doe hadn't been too busy to live.
Look, never mind that. Why, I was just going to clean your windshield, sir. No, that's okay, never mind. How much for the gas?
Only take a minute.
No, thanks anyway. I'm in kind of a hurry. Well, okay, but hurry it up, will you?
Yes, sir. 3 minutes. That's all it would have taken. That's all it ever takes a good service station man to make sure there's no trouble ahead. No little detail that can build up to loss of time, inconvenience, repair bills, or worse. Three minutes is the price John Doe would have had to pay for security. The knowledge that he could drive with safety, without trouble. 3 minutes of what you might call detective work could have located and arrested the killer of John Doe, citizen. But what's done is done. You can't turn back the clock. And because John Doe didn't have 3 minutes to spare, the killer wasn't caught. So John Doe had to die. He couldn't take time to prevent it. But let's face it, John Doe is typical. A service station to most people is a place to get gas and get going. Anything else, a waste of precious time. How about you? Are you one of those who's so busy you can't take 3 minutes to save a life?
No. But let's not overplay this thing. I got time to save my life, sure. But don't kid me. The only reason these guys want 3 minutes to go over my car is so they can sell me things. It's money they're after.
Is that bad? Certainly, any service station man is interested in profits. He makes his living supplying the things motor cars need to keep running. But in doing that, he's also saving time money, and now and then, human lives. He's selling safety, making sure your car won't kill you. Granted, manufacturers are building safer cars than ever before. Steel bodies, safety glass, improved tires, power brakes, and steering. Cushioned instrument panels, safety belts. These all make your car safer. But any piece of machinery requires proper maintenance. And that's where your service station man comes in. His job is to spot trouble before it happens. It's not only his business, it's his responsibility, his duty. So he doesn't have to apologize for asking 3 minutes of your time when you drive into his station.
Well, sure, some of the things he does are important, but...
They're all important to you. Some can save you inconvenience. Others can save you money. Others can save your life. Something as simple as this, cleaning the windshield. When it's done right, the result is visibility unlimited. But this sort of treatment can mean blindness at high speed. Isn't it better to find out now that your lights are faulty than to have someone else discover it, like this? One windshield wiper blade, hardly worth thinking about, unless it's worn and hasn't been noticed. A child's life is a heavy price to pay for saving 3 minutes' time. In 3 minutes, a lot of things can be checked. For instance, it only takes a few seconds to calculate whether the wheel bearings need repacking. If they do, and you can't spare the time for the job, then you're to blame for what can happen. If a wheel bearing does go dry, freezes, and takes control of the steering, the results aren't pretty. Admitted, not all the things your service station man will check in 3 minutes can lead to sudden death. If the oil level is low, it may not be fatal, but it won't do your engine any good. A worn frayed fan belt, undetected, might break when you need your car the most. The result, inconvenience, or perhaps a costly repair bill. So not all the things to be checked in those 3 minutes are matters of life and death, but some are. In the time it takes to check the brake fluid, your lifespan may be decided. Is it time wasted to have the assurance this won't happen to you or to your family? And then there's the fraction of the 3 minutes it takes for your service station man to check your tires, all of them. If you haven't time to let him do it, the outcome may not be fatal. outcome may not be fatal, but again, it might be. So, is it worth 3 minutes of your time to be sure this doesn't happen to you or yours? If you can give your service station man 3 minutes once a week, he can give you security, insurance against loss of time, inconvenience, repair bills, and at worst, the pain and agony of violent death. Such things don't need to happen. An extra 3 minutes here, and you can drive out knowing this won't happen to you.
Yeah, that's all we ask. Just a chance to do the job we're supposed to do. See that your car runs right. You might say our job is your safety. So give your service station man those 3 minutes, won't you? He's like me. Neither of us wants to lose customers to this kind of competitor.
Power, the responsible driver, can kill. Power that, on the other hand, can be of great service when controlled by those who are careful and considerate. Each morning as the sun rises, a great green fleet, thousands of telephone cars, leave garages all over the country to provide more and better telephone service. Driving these cars is serious business, and as the number of cars increase and traffic conditions become worse, the drivers bear an ever-increasing responsibility for the safety of themselves and others. Today, throughout the country, 90 people will lose their lives in automobile accidents. Will they be anyone you know? While you are looking at this picture, 1 will die and 3 will be crippled for life. It happened yesterday too, and the day before. It will happen tomorrow, the next day, and the next. Why? Oh, they give lots of reasons. One says, I had the right of way. Another, he went through a red light. Or, he didn't signal. That's what they say, but actually, they didn't see. They didn't hear. They didn't think. It's human failures, not mechanical failures, that cause most accidents. A vehicle is designed for your safety and convenience. With regular inspection and proper maintenance, it's ready to take you safely wherever you wish, under all kinds of weather and highway conditions. But don't forget the most important factor of all: the driver behind the wheel. For it's the driver who determines whether accidents have to happen. Let's see where and how most of our accidents occur. At intersections, on curbs, by bumper chasing. At parking spaces. And here's another common occurrence. When Joe left his truck, there was nothing behind it. It could have been a lot worse, Joe. And here's another. Tom has parked his truck on a grade. As he starts his first job, Tom's car goes on to the next job without it. These are the accident traps waiting for you. Can we avoid them? Thousands of telephone men and women do, year in and year out. They are the safe drivers, the men who respect the lives and the property of others. They are the drivers who see, who hear and think. They know their car and report faulty conditions for repair, a responsibility of every driver. When they sit behind the wheel, they realize that they're driving 90 horses. You have seen a fellow take good care of a dollar screwdriver or other small tool, and then a little later do this. Safe drivers have a sense of values. To them, a car is a precision tool. More important, they have developed the habits of concentration, control, and courtesy. It's simple. Let's call them the 3 C's of defensive driving. Here is Bob Clark. Through his eyes, let's see what we mean by concentration. Wow, that was close, Bob. It's moments like that when accidents happen. Concentration means excluding everything but driving from our minds. Control is equally important. Now, if you can stand another short ride, let's go along with Bill Roberts. Bill, I see you're in the 20-mile zone. You're going too fast. You haven't got control. That sign is there for a purpose. Bill, you may not be as lucky the next time. The safe driver. Courtesy is just good sportsmanship. Now, Jim Riley prides himself on being a good sport. On the course, Jim is one of the nicest fellows you ever met. He doesn't think twice about letting the other fellows through. But in the car, Jim seems to change. Courtesy is forgotten. Now, don't be impatient, Jim. Don't try to drive around them. Aggravating, isn't it? Your driving reflects your character. This wouldn't have happened, Jim, if you had made a habit of being courteous. Concentration, control, and courtesy are the 3 C's of defensive driving. They keep drivers out of accident traps. Of course, every good driver knows that, in addition, there are other important fundamentals of good driving. It's the responsibility of each of us to be sure that mechanically all parts of our car are in proper condition to ensure safe driving. Make sure the seat is adjusted to your height. For comfort and control, grasp the wheel like this. It's called the 10 minutes to 4 grip. This grip provides maximum leverage and keeps the right hand close to the gear shift lever. When going down grade or stopping, use your engine to slow down your vehicle and your brakes merely to assist the engine. Think ahead. Begin to slow down early by taking your foot off the accelerator. Apply your brakes evenly and firmly. Disengage your clutch just in time to keep the engine from stalling. The parking brake is not intended for use in stopping or to slow down, except in an emergency. It is designed to hold the vehicle when it's not moving. These fundamentals, plus the 3 C's, are the tools that safe drivers use at all times, and particularly in locations where accidents are most likely to happen. Here is an example of defensive driving. This driver is approaching an intersection. He concentrates on his car, the car ahead, the car behind, and the car that's probably around the corner. He uses control, signals, and slows down enough to allow time to look left, right, and left again. Whether the signal is with him or against him, he's courteous. The other driver doesn't stop. When a view of an intersection is obstructed, the defensive driver is particularly careful. It is the driver's responsibility to get through intersections safely. Backing accidents can be avoided if, whenever possible, we park where we don't have to back. When backing into traffic, apply the 3 C's and prevent an accident. Back up slowly. Be ready to stop instantly. And be courteous if someone blocks your path. Watch for other cars, bicycles, and children at play. When parking at a curb, make sure there's enough space. Parallel the car ahead. Give the proper hand signal. Make sure the path is clear and back slowly, cutting your wheels. Watch those fenders and bumpers. When you've backed about half the length of your car, straighten your wheels. Turn them in the opposite direction as you move into the parking space. When you're parked, your car should be a few inches from the curb. In leaving a parking space, look ahead and to the rear to make sure it's safe to enter traffic. Do not depend only on your hand signal and rear vision mirror. When passing parked cars, has this ever happened to you? There's a warning if you know what to look for. Watch for this definite front wheel signal. It can be seen 100 feet ahead. If there's someone in the driver's seat, be careful, as he may suddenly pull out from the curb. In parking on a grade, you'll find your car where you left it. If you tow in the wheels to the curb, set the handbrake, make sure it's set, turn off the ignition, remove keys, and lock the doors. In alleys, you will find a combination of many driving hazards. They are narrow and generally lined with fender benders. Remember these words, blind alley, every time you drive in or drive out of one. Now let's consider pedestrians. We know they will not always cross over at intersections, traffic lights, or within the marked lanes. The responsible driver recognizes this, and he drives accordingly. When following traffic, be ready for emergency stops. Allow a full car length distance between your car and the car ahead for each 10 miles of speed. Curves are serious accident traps. Never pass on a curve. Keep well to the right with your car under control. You never know what the other driver may do. When we cut in and out of traffic, follow too close, or speed, we are gambling. And we have no right to gamble with lives and property. Next time you're tempted to exceed safe speed limits, remember a 90 horsepower engine can build up forces that brakes cannot control. The force of a head-on collision at 60 miles an hour is the same as driving your car off the roof of a 10-story building. Would you do this? No, you wouldn't. So why do this? These cars might just as well have been driven off a 10-story building. Nature often causes conditions that require added concentration, control, and courtesy. Winter driving calls for all defensive driving techniques. A snow-covered countryside can be beautiful, but to the safe driver, it spells danger. Clear vision is of first importance. This windshield is an accident maker. Traction is equally important. Spinning the wheels can be prevented by releasing the clutch pedal slowly with the car in second or high. Snow tires will help. The safe driver knows when chains are necessary, but he also knows that he cannot be overconfident just because he has on a good set of traction aids. We can only operate safely by driving at a speed consistent with road conditions. Slow down when passing on a narrow road. Snowy and icy roads require looking farther ahead and giving yourself greater distance in which to stop. This means to approach intersections at greatly reduced speed. Winter driving can be safe driving if we meet each situation with our minds on our driving, the car under control, and courtesy as our guide. For all kinds of driving, the 3 C's will help us to cope with the unpredictable acts of others. Concentration, keeping our mind on what we're doing. Control, driving the car instead of the car driving us. Courtesy, giving freely the right of way regardless of conditions. Wherever we are, north, south, east, or west, telephone people can help to prevent the destruction of life and property that occurs day after day. Wherever we travel, perform a courteous deed. Give freely the right of way. Or give aid in an emergency. It will be convincing proof that to telephone men and women, giving service is more than putting in instruments or answering calls. This is our safety creed. It's the creed of the defensive driver.
Isn't it? But the Thompson submachine gun is a most effective police and military weapon when properly used by well-trained and qualified personnel. However, the same weapon in the hands of the untrained or careless person is truly a dangerous and potentially self-destructive object. Now we are about to examine another object that must also be kept out of the hands of the untrained, careless, immature, or inebriated person. The automobile on the red road. The automobile is a phenomenon, the likes of which the world has never known. It put to sleep the Crossroads village. Gave life to sprawling industries, employment to millions, whose own forefathers predicted it would ruin us all. The automobile, what a wonderful, joyful, talk of the century it is to everyone. Little boys or girls who can call them off by name. And not so little girls who quickly form social impressions about the young man behind the wheel. Really, the automobile is not as complicated as sometimes it may appear. It has wheels on which to ride, steer, a pedal to make it go, and a pedal to make it stop. Doors to let you in, and seat belts to keep you in. And lights to show you where to go, and lights to show you when it stops. Or which directions are in the driver's mind. For the sheer joy of a highway outing. For hauling things big, mighty big. And small. For toting. And towing. For business. Life. But when the same sweet traffic that brings happiness, excitement, and living too, is taken over by one, just one, who has put too much faith in the power that propels him, the road turns red, and the automobile becomes one of the biggest killers in the history of man, killing in the United States more people than all of her wars, maiming more than any catastrophe or combination of catastrophes in all of world history. Creating as many as 30,000, leaving literally thousands of love beds never to be lain in. How, we ask, does it happen? And the answers are just as simple as the history the Red Road records. This, for example, when just one glance away from the road for a fraction of a second too long led to pretty? It's not intended to be, but it happened. When the steel on steel of this screaming crash has stopped echoing and the moans have died away to death, it will happen again, and again, and again, as long as the eyes fail to track the road, which skims by at 60 miles an hour at the rate of 44 feet every half second empty, becomes sad proof that the manufacturer's claim for it were never given a test. It wasn't being used the one time it was needed the most. The lonely little sign that stands around the clock as a friendly warning of dangers ahead. The sign, like a good friend, is sometimes taken for granted and passed by without attention. Just once, but not by this driver ever again. The things that stop cars besides brakes, like beautiful trees that don't bruise easily, and bridges that have no pain, and poles meant for telephone and electric lines, and guardrails that guard as they will, cannot fend off every blow, much as they would like to. and little children who have exaggerated faith in the stopping power of models just like the one you drive. And the pain you feel with them, and the blood they leave might just as well be yours. But it isn't, and because it isn't, the only pain you feel is in your heart, and that is not enough. Because this will not be the only small form to sprawl and writhe on a hard red road. Others, like this one, will briefly be center stage in the hot spotlight of the crowd's curiosity. And the pain and death will rise in youngsters yet to be run down. Automobiles, what things they hit, and sometimes don't hit, due to faces that were filled with the eagerness of young life, faces that were gently lined with the experience that should have brought stronger judgment into play at just this moment. Men, the fathers and mothers, faces of America's main street. Faces that will forever wear the mask of death. The faces of eyes that will never believe what they have seen. The automobile. There are millions of them. And they all, or almost all of them, can go faster than the law and good judgment allows. They all can stop on a dime, except when there isn't a dime to stop on, and it's the red road instead. And they all have steering wheels to be driven, or driven against. And they make strange sounds with their sirens. They're sirens. Sirens like mad musicians playing off-key tunes to disturb the public peace. Wash your car. Polish it well. Love that car. It's one of the most expensive possessions you have. Don't make it the most expensive, not the one that could cause you to put down a final payment for it with your life. Don't ride the red road. It has yet to lead to happiness.
A disastrous hurricane. Telephone lines swept away. Police communications overloaded to the breaking point. Hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, and other disasters destroy normal communications channels when they are needed most. How are life-saving communications to be maintained? The answer? Citizens two-way radio. Emergency communications to fill the gap when other systems are not available, or stressed to the breaking point, or completely destroyed in disaster situations. A lost child, frightened and very much in need of her parents. Who will find them?
I have a little girl here. Red jacket, blue checkered pants. Seems lost.
A serious accident at night, an injured driver, and the nearest telephone is 2 miles away. He needs help now. He is in a situation where seconds count.
Let's stand drinking the Drake farm. My grandson's hurt real bad. He's got his leg caught in a corn chopper. Send help quick.
Emergency communications and the Citizens Radio Service for those conditions when time is essential and life may be in the balance. This disabled car blocks a lane on a busy expressway, a situation that could easily result in a serious automobile accident. If you were driving this road and discovered this emergency, how could you be of assistance?
KDX 6351 mobile, is there a monitor on the air?
KDX 6351, KRN 6525, Oakland County React Monitor.
I'm on eastbound M59 at Adams Road. I have a stalled car in the right-hand lane. There's no police or wrecker here yet.
You're on eastbound M59 at Adams.
Two-way communications from motorist to emergency monitor. This volunteer, in cooperation with other local citizens, maintains a vigil on the official emergency channel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, part of a national organization called REACT, Radio Emergency Associated Citizens Teams.
Yes, this is Vivian Mitron from Oakland County REACT, and I have a report from a CB mobile on a stalled car.
REACT volunteers monitor Channel 9 of the Citizens Radio Service to receive emergency calls and provide assistance to motorists and quickly pass on vital information to the proper authorities.
Wait a minute. I see them now. Here they are.
10-4, thank you.
10-4, KDX 6351, clear with KRN 6525.
REACT speeds aid to the scene, a completely voluntary citizens communication network that can find the parents of a lost child or assist in highway emergencies. In a world where communications is so important, Citizens Band Radio and REACT have an answer, providing community services and communications where seconds count. One in every 60 passenger cars and 1 in every 10 recreational vehicles in the United States has a Citizens two-way or CB radio, a total of over 4 million radios in use, with new installations being made at the rate of over 40,000 a month. Because of its low cost, ease of licensing, and convenient operation, CB has become one of the most popular methods of communication for business, pleasure, and emergency use. Each year, 5 1/4 million emergency calls are made, many received by the 40,000 volunteers in the 1,000 teams in the United States and Canada that make up REACT.
Base, KBS 8024 mobile. KRN 6525, Oakland County React monitor by 10-4.
Over the years, REACT has won increasing support from industry and government. As a General Motors communications researcher has stated, it is true that far more sophisticated communication equipment may be available in future years. But for today and the immediate future, our experience tells us nothing can surpass a national CB radio service for satisfying the needs of both drivers and law enforcement agencies.
KDX 2130. I was following a car on Lapeer Road driving recklessly, a gray Vega, license number JKT 464. Just ran stop sign at Updike Road, is proceeding south on Updike.
KRN 6525 to KDX 2130. Reckless driver in gray Vega, license number JKT 464. Ran stop sign, proceeding south on Updike. Will notify police immediately.
KRN 6525, KRM 0124 mobile.
KRN 0124, KRN 6525.
I have a stalled vehicle on northbound I-75. He's on the shoulder just north of Holly exit. I'm going to stop and see what assistance he needs.
10-4, car stalled on I-75 north of Holly exit. Will notify the police.
More than 4 1/4 million of those CB radio emergency calls are automotive in nature, with over 1 1/4 million of the emergencies vehicular accidents. Each REACT team receives operating procedures and guidelines prepared by REACT National Headquarters. Yet each team is completely self-governing and independent to more ably adapt to local needs and conditions. Identification as a REACT team provides the group with the prestige of a recognized national organization representing the highest standards of voluntary public service to benefit the community. Programs and procedures are exchanged among teams through publications such as the National Reactor, plus participation in state and local team councils. Local REACT teams work with their Red Cross and civil defense authorities to develop and test comprehensive communications plans in preparation for disasters. REACT National Headquarters has a formal cooperative understanding with the American National Red Cross and communicates regularly with all agencies interested in traffic safety and emergency communications. But emergency and highway communications are only part of the REACT story. Volunteer community service of all kinds is the lifeblood of the typical REACT team. Dedicated citizens volunteers provide transportation for fund drives and blood donation programs, communications for parades, county fairs, and other community events. REACT volunteers give their holiday weekend time to provide holiday wake breaks where they serve free coffee and provide information about road conditions to tired and sometimes confused travelers. In a world where communications and community service is so important, REACT has an answer.
KRN 6525, this is KCN 4007.
KCN 4007. This is KRN 6525, Oakland County REACT. Proceed with your message.
I am reporting a one-car off-the-road accident on northbound John R., approximately 1/4 of a mile north of Avon Road. There is an injury. The car cannot be moved. Would you please notify the Sheriff's Department? Over.
A university study in Michigan showed that an average of 17 minutes response time was saved on a city freeway through the use of Citizens Band highway communications. REACT members learn to handle emergency situations efficiently. They know what facts to report and the proper agency to call.
318-3.
318.
Need an ambulance out here.
10-4, 318.
This could have been just another routine REACT communication, another message being relayed. But this time it was a life-saving message, saving precious seconds that can mean the difference between life and death. REACT is citizens of all ages, from all walks of life, giving their time and energy to assisting motorists and bettering their own communities. In a world where communication is so important, Citizens Two-Way Radio and REACT provide an answer where seconds count. For more information on what you can do with and for your community by participation in REACT, write REACT, General Motors Building, Detroit, Michigan, 48202.
Asphyxiation. More than one death suffocation every hour
1,000 every year in the United States alone. But many victims of suffocation need not die because they can be saved by rescue breathing. This tragedy should not have happened. Any one of these neighbors could have saved the life of this victim of suffocation. How about you? Suppose someone in your family suffocated, became unconscious, and stopped breathing. What would you do? Could you bring her back to life? You. I mean you.
Who? Me?
Yes, you. What could you do to save her?
Why, I'd try artificial respiration. You know, the arm lift method?
But that's not always reliable.
Oh, yeah? Show me something better.
All right. To show you why rescue breathing is by far the best method to save lives, let's go to Buffalo, New York, to the Roswell Park Institute, one of the hospitals in which the techniques of rescue breathing were developed. The result of research work done here and in Baltimore, Maryland for the United States Army. Doctor.
Yes?
Would you have your staff reenact the lab research which proved the superiority of rescue breathing?
Of course. Here in this recovery room is an unconscious patient. She can breathe now because the doctor is pulling up on her jaw to keep her from swallowing her tongue. But when the jaw is released, her tongue drops and blocks her air passage. She could die in a few minutes. In the hospital, we often insert an airway, a curved tube which holds the tongue away from the air passage and allows the patient to breathe freely without blockage by the tongue. Here, in simplified animation, is a view inside the head and throat of such an unconscious person. You notice how the air flows freely through the curved tube airway, down the air passage into the lungs, and back out again. The airway wouldn't be available to the average person in an emergency. Also, he would not be trained in its proper insertion. So let's remove the airway. Immediately, the tongue flops back and blocks the air passage. No air can get through. Breathing is impossible. No matter how hard you press on the chest or how much you lift the arms, air still cannot get past the tongue, which is blocking the air passage to the lungs. The first step to relieve this condition is to tilt the head back. This eases the angle of movement for the air flow. Now, to bring the tongue forward, it's only necessary to move the jaw forward. Because the tongue is connected to the jaw, it moves with it. The simplest and surest way to move the tongue forward is to hook your thumb over the teeth at the corner of the mouth. Then grasp the jaw firmly between fingers and thumb and pull the jaw forward. The air passage is wide open for air to move into and out of the lungs as it must in breathing. You can also move the tongue clear of the air passage by pushing forward here on both sides of the jaw. This variation is particularly recommended for reviving babies. Because a baby's mouth is small, your thumb could block it. You must also use this procedure for adults when their jaw muscles are so rigid that you're unable to hook your thumb over the teeth. Just push forward at the angle of the jawbone on both sides. At all times, the head must be tilted back and the jaw moved forward to open the air passage. Now you can get air into the lungs.
How?
Breathe it in. Your mouth will cover the mouth and nose of an infant so that air can be breathed into both at the same time. Your mouth can make a complete seal around an adult's mouth, even though your thumb is in the corner holding the jaw forward. Now you must pinch the nostrils to prevent leakage of air through them. A victim whose jaws are rigid can receive air through his nostrils while you seal his lips with your fingers.
How can you breathe air into a person?
Simply by breathing it in, as this doctor is demonstrating. Remember, a victim may have stopped breathing, but you haven't. You have breath to spare. You can use it to save a life.
Isn't that what the docs do for some babies? What's new about that?
New? Well, it isn't new at all. It's the oldest method in the world. Even the Bible mentions it in 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 34, which tells how Elisha placed his mouth upon the mouth of the unconscious boy and blew the breath of life back into him. Now we know it's the easiest and safest method if it's practiced properly. Come into the lab for a demonstration of more research. Here's another unconscious person. He's a physician volunteer who has been temporarily paralyzed with curare and cannot open his airway or breathe for himself. He's now receiving air by mask. The doctor is breathing for him by squeezing this rubber bag. Notice the enlarged indicator. See it?
Uh-huh.
Well, that indicator is actually on this testing device called an oximeter. It measures the exact amount of oxygen in a person's blood at any given moment. It does this by means of an attachment connected directly to the patient's ear. He needs oxygen to stay alive and is receiving an excellent supply from the fresh air being forced into his lungs through the mask with each squeeze. Now the doctor will stop breathing for him so that the volunteer receives no air. Watch the indicator. As the volunteer's need for oxygen increases, the indicator goes down, down, down. We'd better bring up the oxygen content by breathing for him again with the bag and mask. The oxygen content in the volunteer's blood will soon return to a safe level. Remember, he can't breathe for himself. When the doctor stops giving him air, a rescuer will demonstrate the arm lift method of resuscitation. Watch the oxygen indicator.
No change. Hey, wait! It's going down.
Well, that means he's getting no air into his lungs, no oxygen into his blood.
I can see it on the indicator. That arm lift method isn't working at all.
Right. Now he's got to get oxygen fast. Let's breathe air into him again. We'll turn him over on his back to prepare him for rescue breathing. Again, the doctor has stopped breathing for him. Again, he's getting no oxygen. Well, now let's see how much oxygen he gets from mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing.
You mean put my mouth on a stranger's? Germs.
Don't worry about germs when a life is at stake. Someone may be suffocating to death, and you could save him with your breath. Watch the indicator, and you'll see how effective the rescue breathing method is.
He's getting oxygen. But isn't it bad air? Carbon dioxide or something?
If you breathe deeply, his carbon dioxide level will be normal. But most important, he will be getting even more oxygen than he needs. And this could save his life.
Where does all this oxygen come from?
From you, the rescuer. You must inhale twice as deeply as normal. Then, even in your exhaled breath, there will be oxygen to spare. Oxygen you can share with the victim who is receiving rescue breathing.
Oh, so the rescuer has to breathe for two. I get it. What else do I have to know?
Just a few simple but important rules. First, tilt the head back to ease the angle of air movement. To bring the tongue forward and open the air passage, insert your thumb into the side of the mouth and lift the jaw. Now pinch the nostrils to prevent air leakage. Seal the victim's mouth completely with your mouth and breathe into him until you see his chest rise. When you remove your mouth for your next deep breath, listen to the victim's air as it escapes. If you hear gurgling or snoring sounds, the tongue may have dropped down. Readjust your support on the jaw to correct this. Then continue rescue breathing until the victim can breathe alone.
Thank you, Doctor. Let's leave the laboratory and see some reenactments of common accidents which can cause suffocation. Here's a drowning. With rescue breathing, you don't have to wait until you bring the victim ashore. You can begin reviving him immediately. Your first breath into him may force water up from his stomach. If so, clear the mouth quickly and resume rescue breathing. If something is still lodged in the throat, you'll find it difficult to get air in, so clear the mouth again.
Suppose there's water in his lungs.
There's nothing you can do about that. But you can get it out of his stomach. Press on it gently. Keep the head low while the water drains out. Then continue rescue breathing.
How can you be sure rescue breathing is necessary?
If he seems to be unconscious, has stopped breathing, always start to breathe for him. If he doesn't need help to breathe, you can't hurt him by giving him extra air. But if he does, you can save his life. To help open the air passage, tilt the head back. To keep the tongue out of the way, the jaw should be lifted up. Be sure the nostrils are pinched together to prevent air leakage. Watch the chest. It should rise with each breath. You're breathing for 2 people, so inhale deeply before you rescue breathe.
How many breaths does he need?
You may have to keep going for hours, but often 10 to 15 breaths may be enough.
Only 10 to 15 breaths?
Yes, if he wasn't underwater too long, that's all it may take to bring the half-dead back to life. Here's a reenactment of another frequent cause of suffocation. Carbon monoxide from an automobile exhaust. If there's someone around to run for help, fine. But remember, every second counts. And it even takes time to get him out into fresh air, which is the first thing you must do. Then you must try to get fresh air into his lungs immediately.
He looks blue.
Carbon monoxide sometimes causes a cherry red color. This boy is cyanotic blue because of a shortage of oxygen in his blood. His rescuer is trying to supply it with the arm lift method. But if the victim's tongue is blocking his throat, the arm lift method just won't work. If the rescuer's hands are busy lifting the arms and squeezing the chest, how can he keep the air passage open?
Not unless he's got 4 hands, he can't. Looks like the doc's too late, huh?
Not necessarily. Rescue breathing has revived many victims even after other methods failed. The doctor knows this and begins rescue breathing immediately. Note how the head is tilted back. The nostrils are pinched. The jaw is pulled up. And the doctor's mouth forms a complete seal for every breath. The doctor watches the chest rise, a sure sign that rescue breathing is getting oxygen into the victim's lungs. If there is a spark of life left, rescue breathing will give the best chances of success. When success comes, it will be dramatically visible. The skin will turn a glowing pink, and another life will have been saved. An electric current, an electric appliance, and a puddle of water
can result in an electric shock. Even though the electric contact is broken, unconsciousness and asphyxiation may follow almost immediately. Because electric shock can paralyze the breathing center of the brain, the fingernails may turn cyanotic blue. The lack of oxygen may also show in the blue lips, mouth, and tongue. Begin rescue breathing immediately. Some of the air you blow into the victim's mouth may enter the stomach, which will bulge. Remove this extra air with gentle pressure while you continue rescue breathing.
How long should a breath be?
Long enough to see the chest rise, and no longer.
How many times a minute?
12 times is fast enough for an adult. You can go as high as 20 times a minute if you wish. But if you're not accustomed to deep breathing, it can make you feel lightheaded or dizzy. Just slow down a little, and you'll feel all right.
How can you tell if you're really saving him?
You'll be able to see the normal color return, especially to the fingernails, lips, and tongue. And he'll start breathing for himself. A balloon can be fun to a child. It can also be a hazard, a means of suffocation. When a foreign object becomes lodged in the throat, the cause of suffocation may not be immediately apparent to the rescuer.
How can she tell if it's there?
It will be difficult to get air in with the first breath. Try to clear the throat at once. When the air passage is free, it will be easier to get air in. Even a youngster can follow the few simple rescue breathing procedures of tilting the head back, pulling up the jaw, pinching the nostrils, watching the chest rise, and she can follow them successfully. Sometimes breathing stops because of an overdose of certain medicines.
How come?
The chest muscles become weak, and as the brain centers are drugged, breathing stops. Serious brain damage and even death can result. In such an emergency, unconsciousness and cyanosis are sure signs that rescue breathing is desperately needed. See how the head is kept in the correct position. Even while the rescuer inhales his next breath, he continues to hold the jaw up. This prevents the tongue from blocking the air passage and keeps the throat open so that the air in the victim's lungs can escape freely. It may not take long for a helper to ready the mechanical oxygen equipment, but in the meantime, mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing has kept her alive. The flush pink brightening her skin is proof of that. Certain types of violent injuries may cause unconsciousness and prevent breathing. Rescue breathing must be given immediately where the victim lies. The procedure remains the same, even with this type of chest injury. Tilt the head back. Pull up on the jaw. Pinch the nostrils. Take deep breaths. And breathe for him until he is revived.
But will he be able to continue breathing if his chest is badly hurt?
Perhaps not. But you can keep him alive by maintenance breathing, by continuing rescue breathing, timing each breath with his effort to breathe until medical help becomes available. The basic essentials of the rescue breathing technique are easy to learn and easy to remember. First, tilt the head back. Then lift the jaw forward. Next, pinch the nostrils. Now seal your mouth around the victims.
And begin rescue breathing.
Right. Rescue breathing is the best method. And it's always available to those who care enough to share the breath of life.
Or The Private Life of a $10 Bill. Starring Tom Ewell. The cast, Alexander, played by himself. Tom Ewell, played by himself. And himself, played by himself. Mr. Ten Spot's costumes, courtesy United States Bureau of Engraving. And now our star, Tom Ewell.
Oh, thank you. And how do you do? May I introduce you to the Saltbuck vulgaris, commonly known as the 10 Spot, or $10 bill. This one's called C73910-936A, or Alexander, by his friends. Now, the 10 Spot may be distinguished from other members of its species, genus Mazuma simolians, by the delightful picture of Alexander Hamilton engraved upon it. Furthermore, this bit of engraver's art often comes in handy. For instance, the 10 Spot will permit one to travel. $10 will purchase 50 round trips on the Staten Island Ferry. Or one may become a patron of the arts. Imagine all of the pictures of baseball players one can acquire by buying $10 worth of bubble gum. And if you like fine music, well, the 10 Spot will afford you 9 1/2 hours of listening pleasure when fed into a jukebox. Maybe you have a better idea of how to use a 10 Spot. Here's one suggestion. Use it to help fight a killer. What kind of a killer? Well, not this kind. He isn't this easy to spot. You need a microscope. Take a look at him. A body cell. One of the billions that make a human body. This one's a killer. Uncontrolled growth. This is cancer. A killer that attacks thousands every year. We don't want to frighten, but of those Americans who are stricken by cancer, 235,000 die every year. Of these 235,000, 75,000 die needlessly. They could be saved, but they die. Why? Because too many people don't know the facts about cancer and don't get to their doctors in time. Think of it. 75,000 men, women, and children each year dying needlessly. Something's got to be done about it. Something is being done by the American Cancer Society. This is the Sword of Hope, the symbol of the society. It represents millions of people. That's right, millions who are striking back at cancer. First, there are the men and women in the labs, the researchers who are assigned to the big job, finding the final answers to conquer cancer. Then there are the hundreds of thousands of American Cancer Society volunteers, people who strike back at cancer by lecturing, performing, calling on their neighbors, distributing pamphlets, supplying free transportation to and from treatment centers, making bandages, aiding the sick at home, doing anything to fight cancer and spread information about it. And then last, but by no means least, there are millions of you who battle cancer by giving money, hard cash. And since it's your money that's fighting cancer, you'd probably like to see how it's used. Okay? Let's watch our friend who's all ready to go to work. Education can save lives. That's why the American Cancer Society has a large, well-organized program of public and professional education. 17% of your contribution goes for public education, and 13% for professional education. Since we all have to know the enemy to fight it, the American Cancer Society tells us what cancer is on the printed page, on the air, and in films like this.
This is a cell of human tissue. This is the basic material of our bodies. Normally, right from birth, these small cells keep dividing themselves in two. That's how we grow. When maturity is reached, this growth by division stops, except when injured or worn out tissue has to be replaced. Now, cancer happens when a cell begins to grow in a wild, disordered way. The body's usual controls don't work. The cells of this wild growth force their way among normal cells, taking away their nourishment. Here's a cancer of the stomach. Watch how it can spread. Cancers then appear in other parts of the body. In this case, the lung.
Now, very often, cancer gives an early warning before it has a chance to spread. Such a warning symptom is called a danger signal. There are 7 danger signals that may mean cancer. The American Cancer Society tries to get these warnings and other life-saving information across to you in all kinds of ways. For example, like this.
Meet William Nannery, a man who is glad he can still play checkers. You see, he had cancer 7 years ago, but he was cured because he went to his doctor as soon as he noticed a cancer danger signal. Mr. Nannery is one of thousands of Americans who are alive today because of prompt attention to cancer's danger signals. People such as this businesswoman, this clam fisherman, this assistant to a TV producer, this insurance broker, this housewife, this man who makes bleach. Stop and heed the 7 warning symptoms that might mean cancer. Learn to recognize them. Your life may someday depend on it. Here they are. Any sore that doesn't heal. If you feel a lump or thickening in the breast or elsewhere, it may mean cancer. Any unusual bleeding. Any change in a wart or mole. Persistent indigestion. Persistent hoarseness or cough. Any change in normal bowel habits. If you notice any of these danger signals in yourself, go straight to your doctor, for many cancers can be cured if treated in time before the disease spreads. For a free booklet that contains the 7 danger signals, write to your unit of the American Cancer Society. But watching for any one of the 7 danger signals isn't enough. It's also important to go to your doctor for a regular checkup at least once a year, no matter how well you feel. Often your doctor can find cancer before a danger signal appears. This is the time when chances for cure are best.
The American Cancer Society not only tries to inform you, the public, about cancer, it also brings your doctor the latest scientific information. For instance, say a researcher has a bright idea, a new method for treating some kind of cancer. Your money pays for the pamphlets, books, and articles that get that idea across the country fast to the doctors, so that more lives can be saved. Someday, maybe yours. In this day and age, TV does an important job. You're looking at sections of a closed-circuit television program, a special telecast created for and seen only by doctors in different parts of the country. There were 30 such hour-long programs bringing doctors the latest information in cancer research, diagnosis, and treatment. Education for you and your doctor is just one of the Society's weapons. Here's another, service to cancer patients. This takes about 1/4 more of your 10 spot, 26% of it, to be exact. Every unit of the American Cancer Society acts as an information center where people can come for help. But the major part of service is helping patients to get proper treatment, special equipment, special care. What's done in Arizona is different from California or New Jersey. Every part of the country has its own needs and plans. But the goal is the same: service to those who need help. Service includes such things as surgical dressings and white goods, blankets, bed sheets, bandages, pillowcases, even radios, books, puzzles, games, records, everything and anything to make a patient's life a little brighter, even Scrabble. But the service program doesn't just happen. Service costs sawbucks. And here's something else that costs money, lots of it. The largest hunk of your 10 spot, 27% works on the big job, the conquest of cancer. The American Cancer Society is supporting research in every field of medical science. Never before have so many sciences fought one disease. This is the biggest medical attack in history. Chemotherapy, biochemistry, physiology, botany, endocrinology, pharmacology, pathology, cytochemistry, nutrition, morphogenesis, genetics, cellular oh brother, I can't even pronounce these words. Radiobiology, metabolism, virology, immunology, and epidemiological research. I got through them, but I can't pronounce them. I don't even know what they mean. Most of us don't. But that's not important. All we have to know is that progress is being made. Progress that you and I have made possible. Watch. You're looking at a flask that's full of cancer cells, living ones. Now the cancer cells are dead. A new chemical is able to kill cancer in the laboratory. This rabbit also represents research progress. He had cancer, but he was cured by another experimental chemical. This hamster can't get cancer. He's been protected by the experimental use of hormones. More progress. Now take a look at this. It's an old X-ray unit. 30 years ago, it helped save people from cancer. But here's what they've got today. This new multi-million-volt X-ray unit saves lives that would have been lost 30 years ago. It's a big step forward, made by research. Progress in a flask. Will it save lives tomorrow? Progress in a rabbit. Will it save lives tomorrow? Progress in a hamster. Will it save lives tomorrow? Progress in a machine. It's saving lives today. But we've got to keep progress going. And to keep it going takes the biggest part of your 10 spot. Well, there's not much left of our 10 spot, is there? Another 7% goes for administration. Another 10% is used for raising funds. And that just about takes care of your $10 bill. Let's have one more quick look at the Society's 3 life-saving programs. Education, both for you and your doctor, telling you what cancer is and what to do if cancer should strike. The work done with this part of your contribution could directly save your life by getting you to your doctor in time. That's pretty good insurance. Service that tries to save more lives and ease the pain of cancer patients. And finally, research, the biggest job of all. The work that someday will knock out cancer forever. But listen to this. Last year, the American Cancer Society could grant only 2/3 of the funds needed by research scientists. There wasn't enough money to grant more. This in a country where each year, $17 per person is spent on legalized horse racing bets, but only 15 cents per person to fight a disease that kills 235,000 Americans every year. Cancer is a very democratic disease in its own terrible way. It can strike anybody. It does strike 1 in 4. And of every 3 American families, cancer will someday strike in 2. That's why the job of doing something about it is up to every one of us. Together, we've got to conquer cancer. So, give generously to your unit of the American Cancer Society. Mail your contribution to Cancer, care of your local post office.
We know that the vast majority of lift truck accidents are not caused by mechanical failure. Lift truck accidents are caused by lift truck operators.
It's not so simple. Operators are human beings. Their performance is influenced by uniquely human forces. We call them emotions. Apathy, love, hate, fear, stress.
Yes, emotions are the problem. At the moment of decision, an operator can be betrayed by his own emotions into making fatally wrong decisions.
But people are people. They're not cold, calculating machines programmed with rules and data.
No, they're not machines. But that gives me an idea. Perhaps there is a way.
Hey, you guys want to give me a hand with this?
Sure, what is it?
What the heck? I don't know, something for the safety meeting.
Hey, what the heck?
Wow.
Incredible. Unbelievable.
Gee,
I don't know what they're going to do with that.
Let's get going. Ready for me?
That's the way it is anyway. Gentlemen, please be seated. Good morning. I am cybernetic safety device CY5. I will respond to the name Psy. I have been programmed in lift truck safety. Several 100,000 lift trucks move millions of tons of materials each hour of every day and save great human effort. They are designed to move materials safely and efficiently. Operators must know the operating characteristics of their lift trucks. Data indicate over 70% of all lift truck accidents are operator-induced. These accidents often occur as a result of misjudgment in a stressful or unusual situation. One might say that human emotions can impair judgment. Permit me to demonstrate.
Beautiful day, huh?
Yeah, good day for a ride in the country. Think I'm going to take the family out tomorrow.
Well, think I'll be taking my bike out for a spin. Have a good weekend.
Forgot he was driving a lift truck.
An emotional anticipation of an exhilarating ride led him to forget. The data on lift trucks overturning indicates
that operators driving at a high speed with no load may momentarily forget that they are operating a lift truck, a machine with particular operating characteristics. Please observe. The stability of a lift truck is determined by the location of the truck's center of gravity within a triangle called the stability triangle. When the center of gravity moves outside of the stability triangle, the truck will tip. Turning too sharply at high speeds, especially while traveling with no load, can cause the center of gravity to move outside the stability triangle and overturn the truck.
Yeah, but what about when your truck tips forward and the back end of it comes right up off the floor?
It is not the fault of the machine. Operators must understand basic lift truck principles and the operator instructions manual before using their truck.
Are you trying to tell me I don't know how to drive my truck?
Do not become emotional. Please be patient. I have not finished. Lift trucks are designed and constructed for a specific load capacity and load center. Two possibilities exist. Either the load was greater than the capacity of the truck, or the center of gravity of the load was too far out on the forks. You must know the load center and capacity of the machine you operate. Keep the load as close to the back of the forks as possible. Engage forks fully. I compute our interface is about to be terminated.
So now he doesn't like it, we got emotion.
Yeah, he doesn't know how good we are.
Hell, I bet I could go a month without making a single mistake.
Odds on that wager are not in your favor. Therefore, I accept.
$5.
You're on. Please observe. Any incline will shift the center of gravity toward the outside of the stability triangle. The center of gravity can be shifted still further by the inertial force of a sudden turn. Ignorance, however, was not your problem. You are a skilled operator who knows better than to turn on a ramp. Your response to an unexpected event was a momentary panic which overcame your better judgment.
Yeah, I guess I goofed.
Exactly. Operators must condition themselves to make correct responses in potentially adverse situations. $5, please. Gentlemen, are there any questions?
Well, man, I don't understand what the big hassle's all about. We keep cool while we're driving. We ain't gonna have any problems.
It is not as easy as you might think. Suppose your supervisor puts the pressure on.
Jim, you better get this truck loaded. Now, we got a big shipment coming in here in 45 minutes, and this dock will not be the bottleneck. You get in here.
Can you see what caused the accident?
Well, he was in a big hurry.
He didn't chalk his wheels.
Correct. Too much adrenaline. Emotional stress overcame his common sense.
Okay, boys, the break is all over. Let's all get back to work.
Okay.
Here we go.
Back to it.
Well, see you later.
Let's go. Okay, see you guys. You know, I'm beginning to see what Si's been talking about.
I don't know. I think that most of us have conditioned our nerves against reacting too quickly in a situation like that.
Stop. Do not lift that man on the forks. Your attention, please. Do you know what was about to happen?
He probably would have broken his neck.
You were not alone in your error, my friend. Think back to what happened. The maintenance man was riding on the safety platform when he arrived. A serious mistake. A sudden stop could have proven quite dangerous. And the platform itself lacked a screen to protect the men from the truck's moving parts. As you can see, good safety habits do not come easily to anyone.
Si, this emotional thing, I just don't think I can buy it.
Yeah, sometimes maybe. But a big reason for causing accidents? No way.
Most operators know safety rules, correct?
Yeah, so?
Then why do accidents occur? For example, why would an experienced operator leave a running truck unattended?
You kidding? I can't keep shutting down all the time. I'm the fastest man in the plant.
Do I detect male ego dominating your answer? Parking brake should be set and forks lowered and engine shut off.
Boy, you tell them, Si. The way some people drive around here, it's a wonder nobody's been hurt.
No, for Christ's sake, man, the way you drive, it's a wonder we don't trip over you.
Attention, please. Floor, Dockboard and bridge plate capacities are often exceeded by experienced operators. Can you tell me why?
Well, maybe they didn't know the floor capacities. Besides, they'd probably driven over them 1,000 times without going through.
Warning, complacency can often lead to serious injury or even death.
Maybe they weren't sure of the combined weight of their truck and the load.
Yeah, maybe they thought it would be safe enough.
Guesswork does not compute.
Right on. To continue, experienced operators know that loads should be carried with minimum ground clearance and tilted back, and that forks should be spread as far as the load will permit. What emotions?
Too lazy to adjust the fork.
In a hurry.
Thinking about something else.
Correct.
Hey, Si, I got one for you. Last year I had an accident. I'm sure there's no way it could have been prevented. I was headed over to aisle number 3 to pick up a load. It seemed like a normal enough operation. The thing I didn't know was that there was a guy in the other aisle putting the load away. And he did a lousy job. The way I see it, it was the other operator's fault. If he'd been more careful putting away his load, that accident would never have happened.
Not exactly. The load was unstable, but it also exceeded the height of the load backrest. Operators must assume responsibility for the integrity of surrounding loads, as well as the loads they handle. Luckily, you were protected by the overhead guard.
But that salesman, what the heck was the matter with him anyway? He never should have been there.
The reason for the salesman's presence should not concern you. As long as he remains in the working area, his safety is your responsibility.
Hey, here we go again.
Okay, let's go.
I got myself a date tonight.
Let's go. Wait a minute.
Don't forget the poker game tonight, fellas.
Hey, Si. Boy, it sure is hard to be careful with all those hotshot drivers breathing down your neck all the time.
It's difficult to consistently observe good safety habits. However, please remember, not all accidents are caused by excess speed or stress.
Back for 237 to 5. Back for 237 to 5.
Oh, good. Maybe you can help me. I have to get to section 27.
Well, do you know what the tool crib is? How about the parts department? Do you know where the lunchroom?
Oh, I'll never get to section 27.
No, miss. Don't you worry. Benny will take you to section 27 personally.
Benny, stop your truck. Stop your truck.
You creep!
What'd I do?
Program running. Program running. Factors that created unsafe situation. Physical attraction exceeded your normal conditioned response. Your emotions got in the way.
How come we always got to play cards at your house every Wednesday?
Because when we play over to your house, there's never any beer, and we have to go out and buy it. That's why.
Hey, I haven't had a hand all night. Maybe we should invite Cy over here. He's the one been winning bets all week.
Man, did that jukebox read me the riot act this morning. I was trying to make some time, and I was traveling with my forks up.
Smart.
I mean to tell you, he made it perfectly clear I was headed for trouble.
Call. And I'm not too sure that I buy everything Cy says. What about the time when I lost my brakes?
Yeah, and how long before that were you swearing about how bad they were getting?
That's right.
All right, a couple of weeks.
Always report faulty operations or damage to equipment immediately.
Yeah, listen who's talking.
Yeah.
Hot Rod Lincoln of Warehouse B.
No, man, I'm through with that stuff. From now on, I start, stop, change direction, travel, and brake smoothly. I slow down on the curves, and I always avoid the slippery and uneven surface.
Oh, wow.
Are you kidding? Look at that.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell you the way I see it. To me, it's like the old name on the bullet routine. You know, if you're going to have an accident, the emotions take over and there isn't a damn thing you can do about it.
Yeah. No, I disagree with that. I think the idea is that safety has to become second nature. Let me tell you what happened to me this morning. I was working on a supply dock, loading up another truck. The driver tells me he needs one more load for the West Side warehouse. So I swing around and start to grab another load. And the driver calls me and says that's the wrong stuff. Well, I thought he was crazy, but I thought, what the heck, I'll check. And I start to reach forward to check the load slip. And just as I'm about to grab the slip, something stops me. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because I've been thinking about what Cy's been saying a lot lately. And I look up, and damn if I'm not about to put my arm through the upright. So I get off, walk around to the front, and then check the slip. And I was right. It was the West Side. And you know what? When I looked up, there was Cy watching me.
Yeah, I guess safety has to become a habit. Kind of an instinct, so to speak, you know? It makes sense to me.
Where's that go?
That's a new piece of equipment. Special. Have them open it just before the next safety meeting.
Then most accidents aren't inevitable. Human emotions can be overcome when basic safety principles become habitual.
Yes. Habitual to the point that before an accident occurs, an operator will by second nature do the right thing.
He's no longer betrayed by his emotions.
No longer. When safety becomes second nature, it means the end of the great betrayal.